listeners, I believe strength isn't about how much we can carry, it's about knowing when to set things down. So many of us, and especially women in midlife, have been told to push through, to ignore the signals of our body, to live as if resilience means never breaking. But what if true strength is softer? What if it's about listening inward, shifting mindsets, and giving ourselves permission to heal? Listeners, today on the Mindful Living podcast with your host, Sana, we are joined by a remarkable guest, a registered nurse with over 25 years of experience in critical care and trauma recovery. She knows what it means to serve others, but she knows the reality of burnout, imbalance, and fatigue. Through her own turning point, she discovered functional medicine, transformed her health, and now she guides other women in midlife to reclaim energy, balance, and purpose. So, listeners, this isn't a it's just a story about medicine. It's about mindset, resilience, and coaching ourselves into new ways of living. So let's dive in and please welcome my incredible guest, Peggy Moore. So, Peggy, welcome to the show, and I'm really, really honored to have you here with us.
Thank you so much. I'm very honored to be here on the show with you today.
Absolutely, Peggy. Um, Peggy, let's talk about your journey first. I mean, you spent years caring for others. Um, I mean, first of all, I would like love to say that nursing nurses, we often maybe intentionally or unintentionally forget to recognize their contributions. Um, we popularly talk about doctors, but for nurses, I am not sure whether everyone uh, consciously or maybe intentionally addresses or recognize their contributions or not. But yes, you have spent years caring for others, but eventually you reached your own breaking point, and I am imagining, uh, that must be with other nurses as well. How did you recognize that what you were experiencing wasn't just normal stress, but it is something deeper?
Yeah, that's such a great question. And I loved your opening about listening to your body. And I think so oftentimes, especially in my generation, and I'm not sure about the younger generations, but I'm in my 50s. And when I was in my 20s and 30s, it was this push through, and you can have this career and a family. And I was a critical care nurse, like you said, for 20 years. And loved my job. I loved taking care of my patients, but I never recognized the toll that it took on me till probably about 20 years in of running around trying to be that perfect nurse and take care of the patients and follow the doctor's orders. And my patients were very sick, so that they were very complicated, very busy 12-hour days. And then I had three children on top of that. And so taking care of those three children, making sure that they had everything they needed, that dinner was on the table, that the laundry was done, that I never really stopped and took the time to really listen to my body. I just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And if I didn't feel good or if I was sick, I just went and did it anyway. And that was kind of the mindset that I had kind of grown up with. And then, you know, about 20 years in, I really started to stop and think about, is this really the way I want to live the rest of my life? I was tired all the time. I wasn't sleeping well. I had gained weight and wasn't able to lose the weight, and my body was aching. I had issues with my thyroids. thyroid, I would go to the doctor and they would just give me a pill to fix it. I couldn't sleep, so they gave me a pill. I was having trouble losing weight, so they gave me a pill. My thyroid wasn't working right, so they gave me a pill. And I was like, this is not what I want. I need to stop and listen and heal my body. And when I finally found a functional medicine practitioner, my whole life changed. I found someone who actually listened to all the different things that were going on. I remember thinking, "Wow, she really wants to know it all. It's not a 15 minutes, here's your problem, here's your pill, let me send you out the door." She really took the time to listen to all the things that were going on with me, and together we were able to do some labs, get to the root of some of the problems, and really come up with a lifestyle plan that changed my whole life. And so I now feel so much better. I wake up in the morning with energy. I don't have to reach for caffeine at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm able to go for walks and be outside and enjoy life, but also be able to feel good inside my body.
Well, I mean, um, the beginning, and how it, unfolded, and then the encouraging and the inspiring part here, conclusion here, Peggy. Of course, I mean, it's a journey. It's a journey, and um, with the professional and the personal life. I mean, I wonder how you managed it. I wonder how you managed it. Um, but it's really really inspiring. Thank you for very openly, candidly sharing with all of us. And um, I believe, thank you for being the voice here for all the other women out there, especially in midlife, or especially who are juggling between multiple responsibilities in their. I think the most surprising point is, it's kind of has been in conditioning that women, they are told to not to share their pain, because that will kind of uh, make them realize that, or make them look like they are not fit, or trained well enough, or they're not deserving enough to perform these responsibilities. What do you think about it, Peggy?
Yes, I think absolutely. As a critical care nurse, you did not complain, because if you complained, then the question would be, well, are you not smart enough? Are you not organized enough? Are you not this? And I think the same goes with, taking care of our children. If I can't, be to all their activities and do all the things, then I'm not good enough. And I think we have to changed that mindset. One of the practices that I've really had to get used to and really embrace in my life is that saying no. I actually volunteer at my church, and they were saying, "Oh, we have this on this day, and this on this day, and this on this day," and I finally was able to say, I can't do all these things. I can't be there every single day. My sleep is important to me. My health is important to me. My routine is important to me. And I love to volunteer, but I have learned how that I have to protect myself. I have to protect my body, and I have to protect my mind, and I have to nourish my body with good things, and I have to nourish my mind with good things, and I have to set boundaries. And I think that is something that is very important for women to really understand, that it's okay to do that.
Exactly, exactly. I couldn't agree more with you on this, Peggy. Great. And um, I think, and you talk about functional medicine uncovering root causes, gut health, hormones, inflammation. Now, yes, there are active circles, there are active conversations going around functional medicine. We have internet, as an effective medium to, uh, share the right information, and at the same time, sometimes misinformation. But yes, there is conversation happening. Yet there are, uh, you know, countries, there are many levels of society where women, especially midlife, they have no idea. Maybe, I'm not, I do not have the stats or the numbers in here or any kind of resources to prove this, but I'm just trying to understand. There are many spaces where, where, or places where women in midlife, or maybe young women, they don't have any idea, or they don't have the right information, around gut health, hormones,
Yes.
things like
I
PNG.
have yeah. I absolutely agree, Sana. I think that we haven't been informed. And I'm so thankful that functional medicine and integrative medicine are beginning to be more prominent, yes, on the internet, and people are talking about it more because functional medicine and integrative medicine help to look at the whole body, the whole mind. It really functions on looking at your, like you said, your gut health, all your hormones, if that inflammation that you may have in your body and you're not even aware of it. So the CDC in America in 2024 said that 1 in 3 Americans has pre-diabetes or insulin resistance. 1 in 3 Americans. That is, I think it was over 80 million Americans. And many of them don't even recognize it because of the a lot of the tests that conventional medicine doesn't look at pre-diabetes. They only look, you have diabetes, we're going to treat it. They don't look at all the factors that kind of lead up to that. And that's an educational piece that I love that functional medicine and integrative medicine are able to provide clients and patients by helping them look at those labs, look at those pieces, those root causes that can show us up to 10 years before someone has diabetes. And so, if you can find that beforehand, you can learn how to nourish your body, to heal your gut, to decrease that inflammation, and to feel so much better, and to not get to the point where you have diabetes. But it is about education. And oftentimes, conventional medicine, doctors are given what, 15 minutes to talk to their patients. They don't have time to really go into all the simple things that you can do to help to nourish your body better, to increase that inflammation, to improve your gut health and improve your cellular health and improve your body.
Absolutely, that's very well said. Very. And you mentioned about, all these things. How I also want to bring in and, understand, how can mindset and self coaching complement the science of healing in here, Peggy?
Absolutely. I think, well, everything starts in your mind, right?
Yep.
Everything it starts with your thoughts, your thoughts. And like I said in the beginning, when I was talking about how busy I was and how stressed I was and how I kept pushing, it was because of my mindset. My mind, my thoughts were, this is how I need to be. I'm not good enough. I've got to keep going. I've got to keep pushing. And so I had to do some reframing and some reshifting of those thoughts so that I now think what I choose things that nourish my body, that nourish my mind. I make sure to set boundaries to not overdo it, but it was a shift in mindset. It helped me. I was able, actually did some life coaching. I'm also a life coach, and I did some life coach training. And the biggest thing for me was that Just by changing the way you think about things can change your life. We have to also realize that our thoughts can control our hormones. If we're thinking that we're stressed, then our body is going to react to stress. If I see something, say I'm scared of snakes. If I see a snake, I'm immediately going and I'm afraid of that, my mind is automatically going to increase my heart rate a little bit, maybe increase my breathing. I'm going to have that fear response. And that's all from my mind. But if I was just seeing a snake in a picture and I knew I was safe and I told myself I was safe, those things wouldn't happen. Does that make sense? How our mind controls the chemical processes in our body.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you brought the example in it. But yeah, I'm scared. I'm scared for life, of lizards. And even the thought of or the word here itself, it kind of makes me stressed. Anyway, that's a joke jokes apart, but you really addressed a very, very important uh aspect here, mind. And I once again, and it's not just a rant, but it's kind of, what I have sometimes observed, that especially for women in workplaces, in among family members or relatives, especially uh it's kind of a, I don't know, stigma or a kind of stereotype that, okay, you are going through hormonal imbalance, that's why you're acting like, crazy, or you are exhibiting multiple emotions here. Just take rest and you'll be fine. That's how it is kind of sometimes, addressed upon.
Yes.
What's your opinion on
Yes.
it, Peggy?
And that's so dangerous. It's so dangerous and it's so not fair. You wouldn't say that to a man.
No.
And so I find that very interesting. And um, I think that hormones are important, and hormones, if they are not in balance, so if we haven't looked at that root cause and made sure that those hormones in balance, they can make you feel anxious, they can make you feel sad, they can make you feel like you're a little bit crazy. And so by looking at those root causes, looking at those hormones, we're able to kind of balance them out and help you feel better. And recognize, and I think by doing that, that also helps women recognize it's not in my mind. I'm not crazy. This is a hormonal imbalance. If a man had a hormonal imbalance, we wouldn't tell him he was crazy. So I think that's a very unfair stigmatism and expectation put on women. And that's one of the things that when I talk to women, I we work on changing that mindset. Um, your hormones are part of who you are, and a healthy balance will help you feel so much better. And so we look at that, but we also recognize that hormone shifts. For example, women that are still menstruating have hormone shifts, and that's normal. It's part of a normal body, and learning how to recognize and work with it is what you can do to live a full, fulfilling, and happy life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's very, very well put. Um, okay. And Peggy, a bit of a, I shouldn't say it's a contradictory angle, but let's try to understand the nuance here. Now, functional medicine, it often challenges conventional medical approaches. So, do you ever worry that it can be seen as too alternative or even inaccessible for everyday women?
I think that is an excellent question. And I think you do have to open your mind a little bit to look at some other things. But I think the biggest answer to that question comes in the women that I talk to every day. I talk to women every day who tell me, I went to the doctor and I told them this and they ignored me. I went to the doctor and I told them this and they gave me a pill and they sent me home. I went to the doctor and I told them this and they just ignored me. They didn't listen to me. I have hear that over and over and over again. And we have to recognize I worked in conventional medicine for 20 years, and we have to recognize the limitations that are put on them. They are driven by diagnosis. Let's fix the problem. They're driven by insurance. And insurance doesn't want you to be healthy because then if you're healthy, you don't need it, right? So by functional medicine is more of prevention. It's about taking care of your health before it becomes a problem. It's about living a full life beyond many years that most Americans will live beyond because they don't have the opportunity to look at these root causes, to be able to make these mind shifts and be able to use the practices that will keep them healthier longer.
Of course, of course. And you know, do you think that uh, this will be, you know, completely accessible like conventional medicine, or at least the awareness will spread when there's a systemic change in there, or you know, there will be a kind of an ongoing, continuous war between the conventional medicine and people who have lived experiences to prove that functional medicine they are effective. I mean, will we be able to ever bridge that gap between?
I hope so. I hope so. If you really want a healthy America, and I think that most people want to be healthy, they want to know how to take care of themselves better. And there's so much information out there that I feel as more functional medicine providers come forward and talk. And I follow several, but you're right, they are few and far between. You kind of have to search out for them right now. And so I hope with new initiatives that they are beginning in our country. And I know in the UK that they have initiatives there also to help their citizens become healthier. And as we start just a little bit like a drop in a pond, it will spread and we will live healthier lives and feel better.
Of course, yeah, absolutely. I'm also bullish as well. And Peggy, to begin with, if our listeners they would like to connect with you and explore the uh, useful resources that you are providing, what will be the easiest way?
Yeah, so my website is called morefunctionalhealthandwellness.com. You can find me there. I'm on Facebook at More Health and Wellness and Instagram, More Health and Wellness. And then my email is just my name, Peggy.Moore at More Functional Health and Wellness. So, yes, please, I love to talk with people about what's going on in their lives and their health. And my favorite thing to do is to work with them and develop a plan to help them feel better and to live a life of health and vitality.
That's really inspiring, Peggy, and I'll make sure to add all the details in the show notes for our listeners. And listeners, as we wrap up, I'm really struck by how strength isn't always loud. Sometimes it is whispers, through fatigue, through imbalance, through the quiet knowing that something has to change. Peggy today reminded us that thriving after 40 isn't a dream, it's a choice. A choice to honor our bodies, shift our mindset, and rewrite what resilience means. So, Peggy, thank you so much for your wonderful insights and for sharing your journey with all of us.
Thank you so much for having me.
And listeners, if you feel like you have been dismissed, overlooked, or told you are fine when you know you are not, maybe this be your permission slip to start asking deeper questions, to listen inward, and to remember that it's never too late to heal. Thank you to everyone for joining us on the Mindful Living podcast. Until next time, stay gentle with yourself, stay curious, and remember your strength lives not in what you endure, but in how you choose to rise. Thank you.